Pirelli covering off goes the Ferrari. Round the outside goes it forgets. Well, this is bonkers down the back. Well, talk about great racing to end the year. Again, not good enough there. It's this track.
Oh,
he's going to try on the outside. One's wide, and he's going to be side by side. Is Salita going to try down the inside? They're going to make contact. They're not.
Vector's ran off the track. Yes. Vector did run off the track there, but I don't think...
Get away with it.
He might just get away with it.
Going to make the move. Yes. Into the lead. Pulls alongside. Pulls ahead the Audi. First of the Ferrari. Now, Ronnie is going to be going shallow. Can he go on the outside again? Yes. Yes. Fight. And takes the lead again. And watch out for that McLaren following behind. This is fantastic stuff. Your top three separated by under 1 second. And coming along is Solo Salita. He's going to try turn 1. Does he get through? They all finally, I think they've all got through at turn 1 correctly. I think it's finally happened. They've all got through turn 1. Will they get through turn 2? They almost make contact at the back. They're all squirming together.
Let's see, and Alessia's lost it again, and a Ferrari at the same time. Synchronised spinning right there.
I don't think anything can Red do. Gav into the lead. Gav leads the Belgian Grand Prix. And boy, oh boy, has this turned into a shocker. Red in the pit for the lead. He's got a beautiful run. Slingshots past and takes the lead. Now,
to have the inside.
We'll have the inside. Now, this could be close. And down the inside. Yes, he does do it. One's a bit wide. Cut back. Could be the options. Now, side by side. They come down here. Ho's going to try and give him as much of a squeeze. And does take second position there. Oh, he tries slow. Backs out that time. It's the rear almost there.
So close. So
behind the slipstream. I don't think Alessia's going to do too much about this as he goes down the inside into turn 1. Alessia's going to try and hold it around the outside. Gets on the grass around the outside. Alessia tries to hold on, and it's not going to quite do it for Alessia. And Pirelli makes that move and gets it finished.
Pulling along. He's going to go to the lead. They've got Sig on the outside. It's going to be free into turn 1. Is it all going to be clean? The answer to that is a grand total of yes. It seems to be. Running wide. There goes Fundown. He's going to jump up to second. Sig drops down to 4th, and this is going
third
well.
position in this Grand Prix. Look at Pancho. He might give him a little squeeze towards the wall. Down the inside goes in for yes for third position. Can he get it done, or will he hold it around the outside? He'll try. He will try to hold it around the outside. He gives him the squeeze. Contact made. Good little battle. Inforgets will move to third position, and can he come back? No, he can't. Good little battle from those two guys there.
Brave if he's going to try. I think he'll back out of it. Surely he has to, unless it's me, because I would have made a move, but he backs out of it. One's wide. He's going to go for the lead. He is into the lead, and he leads. Skull lead. Battling. That was Mantle there. Down the inside. That's a good move. Get it there over the curve. Bagging tyres.
Did he cut him there? Did he cut him? I thought he cut him.
Does it? Podium. He's on the podium. Finally, he's done it. After so long. Forza Gavra. There's everyone celebrating. Solo Salita's just having a donut. Does do it. Same position where another car with a side-by-side. Down to a route. This could end badly. Does it? Brazy bravely backs out of that one. He's not going to try that. He'd be mad to try side-by-side.
Ruapuna Park. The lights go red for Ruapuna Park. Round 6. And it's go! And Cash gets an amazing start. Pirelli gets away well. Alessio gets a storming start. Goes into second. He's going to
try it.
On the brakes.
Yes, he tries, takes a slice. Down inside he goes. One's wide. Throws him through as well. And into second place. That's how you do
12
it. 12
cars are within a second of each other. Actually, 13 are within a second of each other. That is actually madness. That shows how evenly matched it is.
Might take him on the inside again.
He's challenging. Oh, he's going to be taking. Does Sig battles with a wild Renault. Look at that side by side behind. Around the outside. Sig, I think around the outside as well. To go GJ Luke, and they're still side by side. Would you look at this? You don't see this very often. Ooh. Well, great stuff between those two.
Side by side again. What's ooh.
Yeah, good move. Should be able.
Championship contender. Oh, he's got to launch down the inside. And there you have it. All said and done.
Metro trying to the inside. Here we are then. For the lead. For the lead. Does he make a move? Tries. No, can't do it. Gets his nose chopped right up. Not close enough to make a move. I would have think down the inside. What a dive. And does do it. What a dive from such a long way back.
Unbelievable.
That wasn't even an overtaking opportunity, and now he's coming back side by side, down into the right-hander, and they almost touch around the outside, now down the inside. Look at this, side by side. Absolutely bonkers, and this lets Pirelli catch up. Down the inside goes, down the inside. Beautiful move. Does he do it? Pulls it off. Fantastic move then.
This was Gav left.
Oh, Tsuki! Oh my. The most cartoon crash ever. It's a... no improvement for Hiker. Is it going to be one for It Forgets? Yes, but they... Oh my god. Now that is teammates. That is how identical those cars are. Exactly the same time. 120.823.
Down the inside here, he'll try the... Oh, he's on the grass! On the grass! And passes! And tries! Now he's going to be diving on the brake. Down the inside goes Stapleton and go. What a move from the Italian!
There's 1 point in it. Van Elk wins by 1 point otherwise. So Razy's got... He's he's lost it. Oh, Van Elk spun. Van Elk, oh, they both spun. Oh my god. Oh my god. They will both be going.
Hello.
Hello and welcome to this Q&A today. We are talking about the new season, the registration process, and alongside here is Aaron Racy Real, one of the organizers of the admins of the league, and he knows everything about the new season, and we will ask him a lot of questions regarding that, and he will answer them all, I guess. And you can also ask a lot of questions in the chat. There's also Grunting Turtles here with us. He will keep track of all your questions and pass them along to us, and Aaron hopefully can tell you what's going on in the new season, which will be vintage. So Aaron, first question by me, till the chat is heating up. So the new season will be focused on the vintage cars, with the exception of the touring cars. So this concept stands quite a long time. It was announced in spring, and now it's finally here. What was the reaction by the drivers so far, and what do you expect from the new season?
Good morning, well, I guess it's good evening for you guys. Good morning for me. Nice to be here to take questions. I don't know about knowing everything and answering everything. I'm not quite like God or anything, but the vintage season was actually Gavra's idea, and it was kind of an interesting concept. We'll run all vintage or older. When I say the vintage, sort of older style cars that don't run anymore, and it was a really attractive concept for the league, sort of stepping out of the modern the modern cars and what people traditionally or normally like to drive into something that's a bit more retro, so anyway, I think the reaction has been quite positive. Some of the feedback we've had privately is that the cars are sort of more, I don't know, fun to drive. A lot of the more cutting edge cars and modern cars are very, it's like driving a computer. It's very inorganic, and these cars, the M1 and the Mercedes, the old Formula Ones, and that they have a real character and life of their own, and they're actually a lot more. Once you get into them, they're a lot more fun to drive. Just myself, lap after lap after lap is slightly different, and there's something different to contend with, and it's a real challenge. It's not just slipping into the same repetitive motions lap after lap after lap and getting exactly the same result. Things are a little bit different with these cars, and that's been quite a lot of fun, and that's some of the feedback we've got. So But anyway, so we decided to go with this, and as I said, it's been reasonably well received. So yeah.
All right, yeah. So one change I read in the description, which you can find, by the way, on the webpage. The link is in the description of the stream. So just go for the description and follow the link, and you will see a lot of information, and we will not cover all this information today. But one change I noticed was that we will drive next season with mechanical damage. So one step further into more realistic driving, and also taking care of your car, not only your bodywork, but your car, your engine, your transmission, stuff like that. And transmission is of course different in this age pattern cars. So what led to this decision, and how will it affect the driving?
Well, basically we wanted to sort of improve everybody's driving, or make it a more realistic, more if you're driving with no consequence, it doesn't, you can get good, you can get better, but if there's no real consequence, there's something missing there. So we thought it's a bit of a step up for everybody. We've never done this before in GAVRA racing, but so we decided to go mechanical damage and actually full damage on the car. So we used to run no mechanical damage and just performance impacting damage. So with performance impacting, something like your wheel falling off wasn't possible. You could always, whatever damage you took, you could always get yourself back to the pits reasonably, get some repairs, and out you go again. With full damage, wheels can fall off, and you can totally wreck your car to practically an undrivable state. So there's a lot more consequence there. And with mechanical damage, it always, drivers running with their radiators closed and no brake cooling and all this kind of stuff is, it's a little bit ridiculous. So we thought, well, let's make it real and get drivers thinking about not just their driving, but thinking about how to look after their car, how to tune their car properly, how to, run things in a more realistic way. And as you said, it's a step up, and we haven't done it before, and we're really looking forward to how it all works out. I think it's a positive improvement in the league.
Yeah, definitely. And we have a question from the chat from Harry Buddha, which is also maybe related to this. What you just said, that you can actually retire from a race because your car is not capable of returning to the pits. But his question was a bit differently formulated, because he was asking about dropped results in a championship. So I just read out his question. Have you considered allowing 2 dropped results per championship to minimize the impact of disconnects? For example, championship seasons of 12 races, for each driver only the top 10 results count for the championship.
Yeah, we've talked about it, and we've kind of agreed that we won't do that. The kind of the rationale behind that is that driver commitment is like the biggest issue for any online driving sort of event or community or race. And if drivers can drop a couple of races, then it unfairly sort of drivers that commit to doing every race, finishing every race, no rage quit, drivers that actually commit to doing the league properly, it unfairly impacts their commitment. So to have the ability just to fob off a couple of races because one of them you rage quit, you can just drop it. That's not being fair. Life isn't about fairness, I know, but we want to keep drivers focused on finishing their races and doing what they need to do and making that commitment. Disconnects happen. It happens to everybody. Everybody, it's just a part of online racing. So there's an argument both ways, or there's sort of a view both ways, but we really want to reward drivers that do the whole season. want to sort of allow drivers that are a little less committed, leaving the disconnects aside, allow drivers that are a little less committed to gain back a little bit more on the ones that are. So the ones that are fully rewarded for their effort over the entire season. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, sure, it does.
Yes.
And we got another question from Floris38. I don't know which driver this is. Maybe a different nickname in YouTube than in PSN. He asks, or she asks, in these vintage races, are we gonna see a safety car?
No.
Yeah.
I don't know how a safety car might work in project cars. I guess it could be done, but running an efficient championship and an efficient race event with the added variable of a safety car, it's not workable, I don't think.
Yeah, I do agree on that.
Yeah, just to add on that, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure during the 24-hour race of Le Mans, we have a safety car, don't we?
No.
I believe we do.
So we have a basically a safety car starting the race for the formation lap, but nothing else. Yeah. So also regarding to what you just said, Aaron, about the commitment of drivers, and that's main point of GAVRA Racing. That's why we love GAVRA Racing, because it just brings together drivers that are really committed to this online racing and keep on racing, and not just rage quit sessions or ram into each others and stuff like that. And one way to ensure this was always the academy, and it was quite successful in that. I saw some change or some thoughts about a change. I don't know if it's fixed or not, but there was a thinking about letting drivers from other leagues that have proven in other leagues to be good and committed drivers to go straight up into the GAVRA championships. So not like in the past to the academies. Can you say something about that?
Yeah. We this came up a couple of weeks ago, and GAVRA and I had a talk about it, and we thought, well, one of the drawbacks of the academy it's always been a driver who knows he's a good, committed driver. It's like, do I have to do this to go into the league? What the academy is designed to do is sort of prove to us that the drivers coming in are of an acceptable, not necessarily of speed, but of an acceptable temperament and all that kind of stuff. Safe drivers, all that. So what we thought, well, why not, if you have a track record of all this in a different league, and you can show us that, or we can see that, this guy, he competed in a bunch of championships. He completed a championships. He obviously drives really well. The results are okay. It's this case-by-case basis, of course, but if we're satisfied that we can see that, then we saw no reason why we couldn't just bring them, or that we couldn't let them, come straight into the main league without going through the academy. So I guess what the academy is sort of designed to do now is guys that don't have a real track record elsewhere that they can show us, they have that opportunity to prove it to us if they can't do it otherwise.
Yeah, sounds great. So also about because one of the things in the season is finishing the season, and not every driver tends to do that because of maybe also some time schedules or personal affairs, I don't know, but there's also always drivers on vacation or having no time, and there's the replacement driver system. And that changed quite a lot over the last few seasons. Or is in current change still. So can you tell us about what will be the replacement driver scheme for the next season?
Yeah. This is we keep talking about the commitment. As I said, it's the single biggest problem we have. Drivers start the season and we finish up with half the field, or a quarter of the field is just gone, and then the other quarter of the field is drivers that weren't there at the start, and there's only about half the drivers that actually started the season. That's kind of the typical way it plays out. So we want to first, get drivers to commit. We want to keep full grids for every race as much as possible. That's not practical all the time, but as much as possible. And we've tried various replacement driver ways to replace drivers and keep the grids full. We've tried all sorts of things, and so we're still trying. We're hoping the latest one will work reasonably well, and if I can just take a few minutes to explain the concept. So in the past, we've had like replacement drivers. You nominate your replacement driver for your team, and they can drive for you. This time we've done that. They drive for you. They get about half points. This time we've done that, but we've added a couple of little things to that. We've split replacement drivers into two varieties. One is contracted, and one is casual. The contracted replacement drivers, you nominate them or agree with them that they will drive for you before the season starts. So they commit to being your replacement. So hopefully we've got any absences nailed down there. Now, contracted replacement drivers, they drive for about 75% points. It depends on if you have a look at the points table for your championship, it's all laid out there, but it's approximately 75% points. And casual drivers are the ring-ins, the guy that, oh my God, I've got no one to drive for me in round 8. Can someone drive for me, please? Okay, can you drive for me? That's a casual. The drivers that are not nominated or declared before the season starts, just the random guy that comes in and drives for you. They get about half points, right? So if you set up your driving replacements before the season starts, you have a points advantage over drivers that you just call in on an ad hoc basis if you're looking for someone to drive for you. So hopefully we'll get a lot of drivers sort of teed up with replacement drivers, so if there's any absences, it's all sorted so we don't get big holes in the grid. And the other part to that is that we used to have, you could only drive for one team, right? Well, I could only replace for one team. So if I'm a contracted driver, I can be contracted to anybody, as many people as I like. Okay, it's up to me to take care of any scheduling conflicts or whatever, but I can contract drive for anybody, or casual drive for anybody. So you can just sort of if I wanted to, I'm in the BMW championship, so I could contract for, say, 2 people in Mercedes and someone in touring cars if I wanted to. So there's a lot of chance for me to fill any holes that might come up. Contract or casual drive for these people. So does that make any sense? Am I explaining it?
Yeah, well, sure.
It's all on the website. It's all on the website there, so have a look. Yeah.
So contracted means you are driving for a special team, so you're not contracting to a special driver, but a special team, basically, right?
Yes. Contracted means you're dedicated to that team or teams, not to a specific driver. So you're covering for 2 people, right? And contracted means that you are declared before the season starts. So you commit before the season starts to cover for these teams. Okay, casual means the guy that you just call in because you don't have anybody to drive for you during the season. That's not a contracted driver. I'm sorry, I'm probably not getting the idea across here very well.
I guess it's
confused, but
that's okay.
Yeah,
so
yeah. The other point with sorry, Hans. The other point with that is that replacement drivers can only drive for this season. It's a 12 race season, so 3 races. So they contract, any replacement driver can only drive for 3 races before they drop down to the next points level. I'll just explain that a little bit. So a contracted driver can drive for 3 races for a team, and if they drive for a fourth race, if they cover a 4th absence, then they drop down to the casual driver points level. Likewise, if you use casual drivers to replace yourself for 3 races, if you need a replacement driver for a 4th absence with a casual replacement, they don't get any points.
All right, so
we're kind of skewing things to guys. Get your replacement drivers and everything nailed down before the season starts, so you maximize your points advantage, and we don't get holes in the grid, and everybody's happy because we've got full grids and people are getting good points.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, sounds actually a lot of improvement went into this regarding for last season. So I think it's best for everybody to just read it on the webpage. I think it should be somewhere written. I don't know where exactly, but yeah, the webpage is. You can find all the links there. So
the replacement drivers, it's on the careers page on the website.
All right, yeah, thanks for that.
Career.
So we got a question from the chat again, from Evil Dragon. He asks, yeah, in the Mercedes Championship there is a track that is only available with the DLC. Wouldn't that be unfair for those without said DLC?
Yeah, it would be, I guess. It's for the in the Pro Car and the Merc series. They're the track schedule is identical for both series. So the track that's DLC is the Porsche Leipzig track. That's round 11. Normally we haven't done DLC tracks before. I think we did it once in PCAR's one with Ruapuna, but Porsche Leipzig is a very popular DLC, and I think most people have it. And it's just part of the series. We have 3 months to get hold of it. It's at the end of the series, as I said, round 11. So if you just get hold of it, that's all. The other point of that is that round 12 is scheduled to be Imola, at Imola track, but the September DLC, I think it's a Ferrari based DLC, so there's a lot of Ferrari content in there, and one of the tracks apparently will be Mugello. So I don't know if that's correct pronunciation, but anyway, it'll be the Ferrari track in their home track in Italy. So if that is in the September DLC, we will be replacing Imola with Mugello. So that's a heads up to maybe get that DLC as well if that track is included. We just want to do something different. Yeah, we all drive on these tracks all the time. We just want to be, just offer something a little bit different. That's a bit of a new challenge for everybody.
Yeah, I think the DLCs are quite nice addition to the game, and it's not that expensive for the drivers regarding that we spend a lot of time into the series, and it adds a lot to the game. So yeah, of course, if a driver can afford it, they cannot race this race, but and I guess they should find a replacement driver then. But yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say a workaround to that would be if you have a replacement or a contracted or a driver available who has DLC, they could run that race for you. You could plan that into your season if necessary.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I guess I can kind of input on this firsthand, is that I didn't have the Le Mans DLC, and I've got the 24-hour Le Mans coming up, and for a good solid 2 weeks, I know my team was talking to me saying, you know, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And I couldn't really answer because I was using the 2014 cars, so they're a hell of a lot different to the cars that we're using now. So I guess buying the DLC kind of put me in that position that I could make a bit of an input, and of course I could race the 24 hours. I was really thinking that I couldn't at one stage, but you know, it was, what was it for me, $8, something like that I bought it for, and it was money well spent, I believe, because now, you know, you feel a little bit more inputted, I guess. You feel like you can, you know, kind of keep up with everyone and make a little bit of an input on track and off track, and you know, that's half the fun talking about the races, I believe. So.
Yeah, good one.
Yeah, so at the moment, we have 4 championships for the upcoming season: the Pro Cars, the Mercedes, the Lotus, and also touring cars, which is a modern series. At the moment, we have drivers. I think the numbers are. It's not done yet, of course. I think the 27th is the registration deadline. But at the moment, it seems like it will be full grids for 3 championships at least, and a few more maybe drivers. So we will, regardless of the number of drivers, have 4 championships, or is there some debate still going on?
It depends on, you know, as you say, the final numbers for registration. It looks like the Mercedes series is locked in. There's 16 drivers there. Touring cars, there's 14 drivers in there at the moment, so that looks like that's a go. I think there's only 9 for the M1 and 6 or 7 for the Lotus. We know there's still quite a few drivers to register, but we would ideally like to run 4 series, ideally. So we've yet to we haven't got towards the end of registration, so we don't have a clearer picture yet, but we may need to, depending on how things work out, we may need to sort of shift things around a bit, and so we get acceptable numbers in each championship, if you know what I mean. So we might have to sort of rob Peter to pay Paul a little bit. Yeah, we discussed this with the drivers involved, of course, but you know, we want to get as many drivers in each championship as possible. So as an example, if there's 16 drivers in one championship and 12 or 13 in another, you know, could we get a couple of drivers to shift from one championship to the other, so we've got, you know, maybe 12 or 13, 14 in one and then 14 in the other, or something like that. Because if we don't really want to just cut off one entire championship until 7 or 8 or 9 or 11 drivers. Sorry, man, you've got nowhere to drive. You know what I mean? So we'd or run a championship where there's only 6 or 8 drivers. You know, that's not too much fun for those involved. So yeah, we'll have to play ducks and drakes a little bit once we see the numbers. I'm pretty sure it'll be okay. As I said, there's quite a few drivers yet to register, and one championship is full already, so I think we'll be all right.
So maybe a follow-up question regarding the hosting of this several series, because you are going to do the Friday. I think it's the Pro Car. I don't know.
Yep.
And yeah, okay. And GAVRA is doing the touring cars on Monday. So there are the 2 championships left who need some different hosts for them. Are there already any drivers that volunteered for that, or are you still searching, or is it just in the process and you just didn't do it yet, or think about it yet that much?
In the championship registration, there's a checkbox for are you willing to host. I haven't seen the results of that yet. GAVRA hasn't let me know yet, so I don't know exactly in the Lotus and in the Merc series who may have indicated that they would like to take the hosting responsibilities. It's something that we really need, drivers to step up and do, because it's only me and Gavra that have been committed to hosting entire series. It's very difficult to get people to host, and even if we had a couple of people or a team of 2 drivers, they could share the hosting, or a couple of teams that could share the hosting between them. That would be a really big help, because God knows Gavra especially, he does an incredible amount of work for us all, and he needs the help, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's correct. Absolutely. Also regarding the championships, the different championships, and the distribution of drivers to them, because we will have some pre-season testing at Donington Park, which is now displayed in the stream with an AI race. This preseason, is it only testing, or is it also possible that you will do some qualifying, like last year in the GT3 we had 2 championships, and there was a qualifying time trial to distribute the drivers into groups of equally fast drivers. Will there be some qualifying to get into the championship, or has it different attributes that you are looking for the drivers, or is there some how's this decision going on?
Driver selection for the championships. We've done sort of time trials in the past to either split the driving group, or qualify drivers for qualify for a championship. We thought about this, and we decided that we would like to look at it's possible that a driver might not be quite fast enough, but we know that driver will commit to the entire series. So this is the guy we want in the series, the guy that's going to commit to the entire series, make sure his grid spot's there all the time. We don't want someone fast who flakes in and out of the championship. There are a few drivers like that. So, we would prefer the guy slightly slower that's going to do the whole lot, rather than the guy that's fast that might come and go. You know what I mean? So it's a bit of an arbitrary decision, but between Gavra and I, we've observed everybody here for a long time, so we know. We have a good idea about who can, who's got responsibility and who hasn't. That's one aspect of it. The other aspect is, we'll look at, if we get a serious oversubscription and people just refuse to change to a different championship, then we might look at time trialing, cherry picking a few drivers and say, right, you guys time trial, and the fastest guys will get in, and your other guys will have to go somewhere else. But the greater driving group has already been. We've already decided that. So I think, personally, I think that most drivers are pretty reasonable, and if there's no subscription, they might go to their second choice, or be okay with choosing something else. When we see the subscription or the registration numbers towards the end of the week, we'll get a better idea of how we're going to go about sort of apportioning everybody to their driving choice.
Also regarding that, I think today I read in the main GAVRA chat group that some driver wants to do 2 championships during the season. Is this possible? Or is this not allowed? Or
at this stage, no, because let me clarify that. At this stage in the registration process, no, because if you register and lock down 2 spots, one in 2 different championships, then that precludes someone else that might be wanting to register for that spot. We want as many different drivers in as possible. Okay, so we want to avoid that situation. Now, if at the end of the registration process we have a championship that maybe has 2 or 3 spots open, then we might say we haven't actually decided this yet, but it's a possibility. We will say, okay, if somebody wants to race in this championship as well, okay, you can. But we, again, we don't want flakiness. We want someone that's going to do 2 championships, not do one and just turn up sometimes for the other. You know what I mean? So
yeah, sure.
at this stage, no. Until we get further down the track of the registrations, then we'll look at it and sort of work out, is this necessary? Will we do it or not? So the possibility is there, but we'll probably find out next week.
So there's another question in the chat, again by Harry Buddha, and I also have a question to the same topic, but let's first do Harry Buddha's. Have you made any major changes to the LLP system this year?
No, not as the general concept. No, the concept's the same. There's been a couple of minor sort of changes. I guess the major one is that we've toughened it up a little bit. The last season we found that the LLP penalties weren't really, sitting out half of practice when it's not really a punishment at all. Sure, you get the message that you've done something wrong, or maybe whatever, but it's not really it doesn't have much of an impact. So we kind of moved everything up a little bit, and this feeds into something else I want to talk about in a minute, which is the qualification. Is that the first level? I don't have it in front of me, but I think the first level is you don't do practice. Second level, you have half period qualifying. Third level is race suspension. Fourth level is third level is practice qualifying and race suspension. Fourth level is practice qualifying and race suspension for 2 consecutive races. So it's gotten a lot tougher. So the first ones are not too tough, but it gets tough very quickly, or tougher very quickly. So hopefully it's an incentive for drivers to try and avoid too much contact with other people. A lot of what we're doing is trying to, with the damage and the performance and the mechanical damage and the full damage, all this kind of thing, the LLP system, we're trying to steer drivers into getting the ideas. There's a good pun. Anyway, we're trying to steer you guys, just like a car, into driving safer, or at least being more aware of what's going on around you and not taking so many risks, and basically just being a bit more respectful and careful about what's going on around you. That applies to everybody. Everybody makes mistakes. We all know that happens, but we're just trying to make everybody more aware that there are real consequences if you're gonna get a bit careless.
Yeah, that makes sense. My question to the LLP would be also if there is some drivers had quite some LLP last season, not much, but will it be 0 level again, or will you keep the LLP to the new season? How's the state in this?
If that hasn't changed, so if there was an outstanding LLP last season that wasn't addressed, then it'll carry over to this season.
So also to the new system then?
Well, the system this season is not new. It's just that the sort of the details have changed a little, but the system is the same.
All right, yeah. I think that will cover Harry Buddha's question quite fairly.
So I think, sorry, Hans, I think from memory, I don't know if there was anybody. There might be one driver that I don't think is registered this time that has a carryover LLP. That's the only one I know of.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So you were talking about the qualifying format that changed a bit, so that would be interesting for everybody to know what changed and what was the purpose to change it, and or what's behind this idea.
Yeah, it's interesting. What we basically, it's all to get drivers focused on their driving and the task at hand. Also, it covers it addresses a lot of different issues. One is drivers not preparing for the race, right? With a longer practice and longer qualifying, sometimes you can tend to get a bit lazy during the week, and I'll just get a bit of practice and set up during qualifying. You can't do that this time because the practice and qualifying is so short. There's only enough time to get done what you need to do. So all your preparation, your tuning and setup and all that, if you want to get a good grid position, you're going to have to get that done during the week. Because with the shorter qualifying 10 minutes, it is, generally speaking. I think the Lotus is 15 minutes, and everybody else is 10 minutes, practice 10 minutes qualifying. But with the longer tracks, Brno or whatever it's called, that will be extended to 15 because the track's a bit longer. So we've worked it out that you can get at least three to four timed laps in, but that leaves no time for coming in and tuning and whatever. So again, it's all designed to get drivers really thinking about what we're doing and driving well. Because if you go off the track or mess around or whatever, you're wasting your time. You're eating away at your qualifying time. You got to go out there and put the go out there, get it done, and get it nailed. So you need to be right on top of what you're doing. Along with that, as I mentioned in the description and the registration, there's a little bit of people are going to get a little bit hot under the collar if someone impacts their qualifying session, because one lap wiped out of 3 or 4 or 5, however many you can get in. One lap wiped is a it's quite an impact on or could be quite an impact on your qualifying. So we're really asking drivers when they get on the track to on their out lap, make sure they space themselves out, try exit the pits at an appropriate time. That's a little bit difficult, I know, but on that out lap, sort of shake yourselves out a little bit so you've got space. If you know the guy behind you is faster than you, let him pass on the out lap, so you're not going to hold him up. All this kind of thing. So a lot of track awareness when you're out there on your out lap, or when you're qualifying. If you've got a dead lap, let the guy behind you pass, so you're not sort of getting in his way or anything like that. So there'll be a lot more sort of awareness and responsibility in qualifying, not just going out doing mindless laps and hoping people get out of your way, and if you mess up, you've got another 10 minutes to get it right. That's not going to happen this time. Everybody needs to be right on top of what they're doing and have a real responsibility to everybody else. So we know there's going to be problems out of this. We know people are going to be unhappy, but it's going to be the same for everybody. I'm not saying people will be unhappy all the time, but all of us in that short period of time, all of us over the season are going to have a lap where somebody, we think somebody screws it. That guy, if he hadn't gotten away, I would have got pole, or whatever. That's going to happen to everybody. So we know we want everybody to be aware this is going to happen. So be prepared for it. Just deal with it. It's going to happen to everybody. So don't worry about it too much.
Yeah, there have also been a few changes by the game with the latest patches regarding the qualifying session. So one is that there is no lag anymore when drivers join, but they will be ghosted. So joining during a qualifying session has no impact on the other drivers in the session. So I think last season it was not allowed to join a qualifying during the session. Is this now allowed because of that?
It wasn't allowed, but it happened. I think everyone being reasonable could take a little bit of a hit during qualifying to make sure as many people as many people as possible get on the grid. So in the rules, no, you can't, but in practice, yes, you could. This season, as you say, if that's addressed, then I don't think it's going to be an issue. But if you're joining, during qualifying, then you're not going to get much of qualifying in anyway. So, yeah, but hopefully it won't impact the other drivers.
Yeah, that's true. I think even GAVRA joined one qualifying session during it happened. Another change that was impacting some drivers qualifying in the final races of the last season was that it's sometimes not possible for drivers to get out of the pits if there is a driver in the pit lane in front of them. I think it's basically regarding the safe release by the game. That happens, for example, if a driver says yes to go in the pits but doesn't go out of his garage. Even if he stays in the garage, that can impact other drivers that cannot go out of pits. That's a huge problem, especially in a short qualifying session like it's planned for the new season. How will this address, and are there some penalties for this behavior, or are the drivers made very aware of this fact?
I don't know too much about this issue. Is it if drivers leave the pits and come back in? Leave the session, the qualifying session, and come back in? Is that what you're saying?
No,
I don't know much about this.
So if there are a lot of drivers in the garage, and one driver in the garage says ready, so he's not in this menu where you can change the setup and stuff like that, but on track basically, but not going out. He blocks the pit lane for every other driver behind him.
I see. Right. So he goes drive and just sits there, does nothing.
Exactly.
And other people can't get out.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it happened last season.
If that's if everyone's aware of it, I don't think anyone's gonna do it. That doesn't make any. Why would you do that unless you're,
It happens.
I don't think we have. I don't want to sound too naive, but hey, man, this is GAVRA Racing. We don't do stuff like that, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Okay. But you're right. We need I'm being slightly sarcastic. We need a mechanism to deal with it if it does happen. So if we can demonstrate that it's happened, we haven't looked at this. We haven't addressed it. Now that you brought it up, we're going to have a look at it and think of a way to deal with it. But it'll have to be addressed. So we'll look at that and we'll write it into the rules. Sometime next week or so.
Another change for the new season, also regarding the preparation we just talked about for the race. A lot of drivers really like to go for the exact race conditions and practice on them. But for the new season, there's again the addition. I had it in my academy season in GAVRA Racing, of random weather slots. So you don't know what's going on in the race. I think I saw some of them in the calendar already. Can you tell us a bit about this new feature in GAVRA Racing?
Yeah, we wanted to mix things up a little bit. For the past seasons, we've had no random weather. That whole situation came out of PCARS 1. Some drivers may remember this, but at Sonoma, I think it was a Formula Golf race, perhaps at Sonoma, and there was random weather, and it just poured like for half the race. It was like a heavy rain, And if you know the geography of Sonoma, it was in May, I think it was. That's just plain crazy. So having random weather doing things like that was a complete nonsense. So we thought of a way to get around it, which we came up with a kind of a cool solution in that we would do the real weather at the real location, but we don't know. It's pretty hard to do it in real time, but to give drivers a chance to prepare in the real weather, we'd go back a week and we'd say, well, okay, we'll use the real live weather at the real live place a week ago. So a week ahead of time, you know the real weather, so you get to practice and set up and do everything you need to do to get the real weather at the real location a week ago. So that was kind of an elegant solution to the issue. But with PCARS 2, I think it does to a certain extent take care of things like, you know, thunderstorms at Willow Springs, you know, things like this that are extreme, or a snowstorm at somewhere. It takes care of things that are extremely unlikely given the season and the conditions. Does that to a certain extent, but again, drivers need to have a little bit of certainty, I think, because in real life there's a weather forecast and drivers can plan for that. And the real disadvantage we have in sim racing, or at least in PCARS 2, that we can't, once you start the session, you can't sort of change the setup of your car. So if it starts to rain, you can't make those few adjustments like you can in real life to get the car to behave a little bit better in the wet. You know, you come in the pit, change your tires, they make a few tweaks or whatever, and at least get the car a little bit better suited for the conditions. But we can't do that. So we decided to first have the real weather and introduce a random slot that will maybe introduce a little bit of rain or something a bit interesting at some point during the race. So there's going to be 3 slots, and one of them will be random. So it'll be about half an hour of, depending, might be a little bit more, might be a little bit less, depending on the transitions. Might be about half an hour of rain, for example. So we can have the real weather that drivers can prepare for, and there might be a little bit of something a little bit different that everybody has to contend with and just shake things up a bit and get drivers really thinking. The other interesting thing to that is that we've decided to put that random weather slot. We don't know where it will be. The host will roll a dice, or however they decide before the session, before the lobby, roll the dice. Where's the random weather slot going to be? 1, 2, or 3, and nobody will know until the lobby. So that introduces just another little variable. So it might be raining at the start of the race, or it might not be raining at all, or at the end of the race, or whatever. So it's just some an interesting little wrinkle in there that's not going to have too much of an impact, but will make things interesting at times, we hope.
Yeah, that sounds quite interesting, and yeah, it's a bit more demanding from the drivers, and I think it's also more realistic that you don't know the exact weather for some races, because sometimes it's really unsure if it rains or not, and that just replicates that quite nicely. So
cool.
So we are almost for 1 hour here. I think there are no questions from the chat. I would have maybe a last question, just to get things done then. The last question would be for the car selection of the touring cars, because that's the only series where there are different cars you have to choose from. There's also one DLC car. How is this car selection done? So it's 4 cars, I guess, and we have like 8 teams, so there has to be more than 1 team per car. Is there a limit of 2 teams per car? How is this done?
Yeah, 2 teams per car. So that's say 4 BMWs on the track maximum. The reason that we did this is we've had this in operation for several seasons now, but for the drivers that may be new to GAVRA Racing, we had a GT4 season, back in P Cars 1, and the Ginetta was by far the best car, right? I wouldn't say by far, but it was generally the best performing car. So of course we finished up with a grid full of we just left the choice open, and we had a grid full of Ginettas. It wasn't a GT4 championship, it was a Ginetta Cup, you know. So this is touring cars. We want it to be reflective of touring cars. Thankfully, the touring cars are extremely well balanced. They're quite good like that. So if you can't get your first choice or the car you really want, then going to something different is probably not going to make that great of a difference. And we'll do that at the time. We might be lucky, and people will just choose. It might just all fall out well, you know, before the season starts, or else we'll have to, as we've done in the past, we'll do a flip of a coin in the GAVRA chat or in the group chat. We'll do a flip of a coin to decide who gets what. That seems to be a reasonable way to do it. Yeah, and that's the way we've done it in the past, and we've never had any problems. So.
Yeah, I do agree on that. And we got some. So one last question from the chat also. Faster A14 says, "Evening guys, have you ever considered to turn the championship on a league with different divisions?"
Is that a promotion relegation kind of concept, like first division, second division, like a football?
I guess he means it like that, yeah.
Okay, we have thought about it. In an ideal world, it's a perfect solution to balancing the championships. There are several issues with it in practice. One is that drivers don't get to choose the championship they drive in. You have to drive this. If you're in this division, this is the championship you have to drive. Or there has to be some kind of decision made that not everybody's going to want to do the same thing. The way we have now, you can choose you can choose which championship you want to drive in. You get to do what you want. More or less. There might be some moving the deck chairs around at the end of registration to fill the championships, but by and large you get to choose what you want. So that's one issue with that kind of scenario. The other one is the driver commitment problem. So if you're in Division 2, for example, a couple of drivers drop out. This is true for any championship, but it's much more difficult to try and fill or deal with the solution, deal with the problem of. I won't be too specific in an example, but the problem of driver commitment is a big one for a divisional or promotion relegation type thing. It becomes more of an issue.
Yeah, I agree on that. I've seen some solutions to this problem, like relegation race-wise, so that drivers drop out of the League One if they don't commit or retire for races. Like if they do it 2 times in like 5 races, they drop down, and others promote up. But I think that would be a huge change to GAVRA Racing, and GAVRA Racing always had different championships. Like last season, like this season, like probably also the next seasons, and I think that's also one part of GAVRA Racing. Maybe it changes, but I think that's up to GAVRA to decide this in last sense. So
it's an idea. It's kind of an ideal to have your balanced championships. It's like a really good solution, but the practicalities of it mean it doesn't really work unless there's 100% commitment across the board and buy into what we're doing. The way we're doing it now is really good. You get to choose. Do you want to drive BMW Pro Car or Mercedes or Tour Car or whatever it is? You have that choice here, and I think the standard in GAVRA Racing now is better than it has been ever before, and we're getting a lot more consistency right across the championships and within the championships as well. So it's kind of, it's all evened out a little bit, and I think, you know, it's you know, the racing is going to be good and competitive no matter where you are, I think.
Yeah, that's right. So I guess we are running out of questions. So yeah, big thanks to you for spending your morning to answer all these questions about a new season and getting us along. What's planned in the future season, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to the next season and to this vintage, driving also the touring cars, because touring cars usually promote very close racing with a lot of downforce, slipstream basically. I'm hoping it will play out as intended. And yeah, Faster A14 says just thanks guys, by the way I love the actual system, so no need to change it to anything else.
Yeah, right. No, that's good. We're really looking forward to it as well. It's shaping up to be quite an exciting season. I think the cars are really interesting, really nice to drive, a lot of fun, and it's we've got a good group of drivers here now. You know, everybody's up there and really driving well, and we're learning a lot together. It's really good. I'd just like to thank GAVRA, of course. You know, without him, we wouldn't have any of this. He puts a lot of his time, a lot of his personal time in, and he does a lot of work for us to put this all together and make sure we have a good time. So, you know, big thanks to GAVRA. We always appreciate what he does.
Yeah, I totally agree on that. GAVRA is doing a lot for this league and putting it all together, and the web page is really nicely done by him. There's a lot of statistics, probably most of the drivers never seen that. It's worth a look. There's actually to every driver there's statistics of them, and to every track with fastest lap times, races and stuff like that. It's really nicely done. So but I think we can just close this evening. I think every urgent question should be answered by now. So yeah, I think we just close the stream and practice a bit for the new season, and then we will see each other on track.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks Hans. Appreciate what you do with the technical side of things as well. It's top notch, mate.
Yeah. So yeah, bye. See you. Cheers.